Hello, the doc is in, and welcome back to another chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 203, Blood and Oil. In the last chapter, pretty much all the context we need is that we go to Tengen, Yuki, and Choso. Yuki and Tengen have a little bit of a conversation in the beginning. They discuss the fact that she used to be a star plasma vessel. We discussed the little flashback arc we get between Gojo, Geto, and I believe is Riko, and that situation involving that, and the fact that Tengen refused any other vessels to merge with during that time, and so that's why they have evolved at this point and whatever. And basically Yuki does not feel Tengen's excuses for explaining why the decisions they've made are the correct decisions. And as I'm the conversations come between, because Kenjaku breaks into the barrier, and then Choso and Kenjaku have a bit of a conversation. We find out a lot more about Kenjaku's plan, and then at the very end of the chapter, Choso shoots a piercing blood and their fight begins. This chapter starts off with the discussion of the plan for when Kenjaku shows up, because they were already aware that Kenjaku was going to show up in the first place. That's especially why Tengen had bodyguards even be left in the first place, because it was like, yeah, this guy's gonna show up, so what are you guys gonna do to protect me? Because if he shows up, shit gets wiggity. What's the deal? And so they're discussing the plan. Choso basically says, hey, let me fight Kenjaku alone. And Yuki is like, dog, you're gonna die. And so then Choso's like, look, all right, we need somebody to check out, like, what's his techniques, what abilities he have, what cursed spirits does he have, all that stuff, right? If we go fight him together, we both can get fucked, or at the very least, we can get in each other's way while we're fighting. It probably is better for me to fight him alone. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe that in the sense that they would get in each other's way, because obviously there could be a certain amount of like, we team up correctly. That is possible, and it's also possible that you don't team up correctly, which is also what he's focusing on. But I think this is personal to him, like beating Kenjaku, because Kenjaku made him and all his brothers and stuff, and obviously has wronged them or whatever. So he's like, hey, let me do it. And so he's also saying, hey, I can get him to use his domain. He'll have less ability to use cursed energy, whatever. It would be great to get him to use his domain by myself, and then you can, even if I do lose, you can get in there. And Yuki's like, yeah, but you'll die. We're trying to avoid that here. And he's like, he's like, hey, I have my vendetta. I gotta do it for my mother. I gotta do it for my brothers. I'm gonna try. If I die, chalk it up to the streets. But I'll definitely put in some work, and then you can pick up after me. No worries. And so we cut away from that, and the fight begins. The fight begins. It shoots piercing blood. It gets literally up to the nose bridge on Kenjaku, right? And he dodges out the way, summons a cursed spirit, weird looking face cursed spirit with the horn on it, right? Shoots the shot, destroys a whole bunch of stuff, right? And then Kenjaku, after dodging it, he decides to throw a little rock thing, and Choso's like, you're underestimating. He's like, am I really? And then as he throws, when the rock thing gets closer, then a bunch of tentacle cursed spirit looking things end up coming out from behind it to come at Choso. This is a fight chapter, so I'm going to be describing the stuff, but I'll also show the pictures. Anyway, to retaliate, Choso uses supernova, blows up that. Geto uses this as a distraction to get in. He gets in close. Choso tries to backhand. Geto immediately retaliates again, grabs his hand, punches him in the face, but Choso's able to leave a little bit of blood right next to Geto. Well, Kenjaku, whatever. And he uses supernova again. And after this bit of an exchange, and Kenjaku was able to block it using other cursed spirits, like I guess summoning in as like meat shields, Choso asks, what are you using Yuji for? Obviously, he's different from the rest of our brothers, like from 150 years ago. He's very much more recent and clearly like very separate from them. Like he doesn't even have the same curse technique. He's merged with Sukuna. There's a lot of stuff different about him. And Kenjaku's answer is basically like, oh, well, he doesn't even call him. He kind of references him as like a thing. He also calls him a him. So it seems like his feelings about Yuji's autonomy as a human, quote unquote, is up in question, which may suggest that he isn't really human in the traditional sense, or maybe it's just because, you know, he's like an experiment, so it's like he doesn't acknowledge him as like a individual the same way you might acknowledge like Megami as an individual person. But anyway, he basically says, yeah, he's just a vessel, and he served his purpose, and he's going to become the eye of the new cursed storm in this new era. And Choso defends him. He's like, no, he's not going to be the source of all this misfortune and terrible stuff. It's you. It's always been you. And he calls him Kamo Noritoshi, which is one of his previous names, but obviously he's Kenjaku, whatever. And so he's like, you know, Yuji's not a bad person. He's a good person. You're a terrible person, right? And so he shoots another piercing blood. It's dodged again by Kenjaku. And then Kenjaku, what he does is that he's able to get some of his centipede curse spirits onto Choso's leg, holds him down, and then once again, Kenjaku moves in, gets the head off, right? And he socks the hell at Choso, right? He's slumped on the floor, face down, and then the disrespect play, Kenjaku with the stomp on his head. And Kenjaku's like, well, you know, I see your plan. Your plan was to, what is it? Try to get me to use my curse technique. Maybe you get me to use a domain expansion so that then Sakuma come in and finish me. Ha. I don't need to use my personal curse techniques, which I'll talk about in a second because the way it's spoken about is interesting. But I said I don't need to use my personal curse techniques to beat you. I just use Ghetto's low grade curse spirits that he has saved up to beat you. And it's not because I just want to hide my techniques, but it's because that's all I really need for you. You know, I got my cursed energy, reinforce them. That's it. There's really nothing you can do. You and your brothers truly are disappointing. And so Choso tries to resist. He grabs Kenjaku by the leg. He's about to try to lift himself up. And Kenjaku makes such a disgusted face and he goes ham. He summons like this torrent of like centipede tentacle looking curse spirits and he like fires off on Choso, right? And slams him into the ground. And so he's like, and so as this is happening, Kenjaku's like, you know, do you know what it means to be a special great sorcerer? And you know, Choso's slumped at this point. He's taking heavy damage. Like that attack, that hit, that might have been like a grade 1 curse spirit, if not a set of special grade. Who knows? That no real explanation. It's not like just point out which ones are special and which ones aren't. But he's basically like someone, a special grade sorcerer is someone who can overthrow a country single-handedly. So he's like, well, you know, Gojo can definitely do it. Geto as well. You know, having cursed spirit manipulation allows you to effectively bring your own army to every fight, and where you can empower them with your own cursed energy and give them orders. It's like, it's easy to beat most sorcerers when you have enough of them and you give them enough orders. It's an easy wash. And so he basically says like, hey, that's why I'm going to beat you. You know, you're a grade 1 sorcerer and you're really good, but you're not special like me. And so Tengen's like, Yuki, you want to get in there? And Yuki's like, no, not yet. And so we have a little bit of inner monologue from Choso, right? He's basically like, I failed as an older brother. I'm supposed to protect my brothers and hold their burdens, but I'm failing. My own father says I'm not fascinating. Like, I can't beat him. I can't get a hit off on him. And it's like, I'm embarrassing myself. But Choso says in his head, I cannot let you say my little brothers aren't fascinating. So he asks the deaf painting brothers to lend him their strength and he's going to attack. Now, what this means, I have literally no clue. Also, that's the end of the chapter. What this means, I have literally no clue. Because it's very interesting, because the suggestion based on his wording is that in some way he's connected to his death pain brothers. Obviously they are connected in a sense, but somehow he's able to gain their power to empower himself to possibly press Kenjaku. And Kenjaku seems surprised by what Choso's doing. Like, he gets a little surprise face when like all this blood comes out when he's right before he says like death pain brothers, lend me your strength, fire, or whatever. So where this is gonna go, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if this is gonna be like, oh, he has a domain expansion, if it means like literally, like because they're connected and stuff, and like he's like, considering that all the rest of them I think are dead, except for Yuji. Like maybe he's able to like, in some type of spiritual cursed spirit way, he's able to like literally gain their strength, to, like make himself stronger, or maybe gain their cursed techniques. Because like the I don't remember their names, but like Kechizu and the other one, they had like the decay ability with the blood. So like maybe he can also use decay. Maybe the other ones from all the other Death Pain brothers who weren't like alive, quote unquote, like those ones. I'm like, I'm just coming up with ideas. Honestly, we'll find out in the next chapter, probably, if we don't cut away. But I assume he's gonna get some type of power up. But maybe he won't. Maybe he really won't, and this will be like, a little of a subversion of our expectations, and it'll seem like he got that friendship bonus, family bonus, and he's gonna get washed. Kenjaku's gonna turn up the heat, whether that be use his actual curse technique, pop a special grade, use domain expansion even. I doubt the domain expansion, but either he'll use his curse technique or a special grade curse, or a couple of them, to wash Choso. Because currently currently Kenjaku was completely washing Choso with nothing in his bag. Like, as he said himself, I'm not using my bag to beat you. Not just because I don't want to fall into your plans, but because I literally don't need to do that to beat you. And this goes into my second thing I wanted to discuss, which is the phrasing at the part where they discuss the curse technique and domain expansion. Now, my assumption was this was about the curse manipulation ability of Geto, right? But the phrasing of Kenjaku at that part makes it sound as if he's talking about his personal curse technique and says, oh, I don't need to use my curse technique to beat you. I can just use curse manipulation. Ergo meaning he's talking about his personal Kenjaku curse technique and domain expansion, which may have been what they were talking about as well. Because obviously they all know curse manipulation. They've seen it in action before. So the suggestion that, oh, we need him to reveal his curse technique means that they're referencing something that Kenjaku personally owns, not Geto. Now, this could be in reference to like Mahito's technique, because I don't believe Choso actually would know it. Yuki didn't see it, so maybe she wouldn't know, but maybe they want to see that. But my assumption is that they're talking about Kenjaku's technique, to which I assumed it was the brain transfer thing, but it honestly might not be. Maybe there's more to it. And then they were saying like he might have domain expansion, which the suggestion that he has domain expansion could mean that he does. Maybe his ultimate technique is the brain transfer thing. He has another technique where like mind control or something. Who knows? But that I also thought was interesting. And that's relatively it for the chapter. It seems like the fight's going to continue in the next chapter. It's going to heat up. Choso's going to, make a comeback of some form. Maybe at least get us to see Kenjaku's actual technique, like personal technique, before he gets washed. And then we get to see Yuki, which I can't wait to see Yuki. I don't think Tengen's even going to get in the fight, because if they get captured, that's game, as Kenjaku said. So yeah, but can't wait for Yuki to get involved, and I'm really interested to see what Choso's gonna pull off in this next chapter. With that all being said, feel free to leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you dislike, comment, well, what do you think Choso's power-up is gonna be? What do you think Kenjaku's curse technique is? Obviously it has something to do with brain transfer, but like, is there something else to it? Is it literally just the brain transfer? What do you think? Leave that in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos like these every time a new chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen comes out. And you can also check out the channel if you want to see what other series I'm covering at this time. I will be covering a couple new series coming up soon, and dropping my own little, I guess I would say theory videos / analysis videos in the coming weeks, because, I just think I should. I just want to. Anyway, thank you for watching the video all the way up to this point, or skipping to this point because you're a weirdo. The doc is out. Peace.